Good morning, everybody. I moved locations this time, so I can kind of give you guys a little bit more of, a nice little backdrop. It's pretty foggy today, but it's supposed to get like really warm. It's supposed to be like 60. I don't know why I'm giving you guys like a weather forecast, but I am a couple days into this residency that I talked a little bit about in the last video. It's a residency for artists and writers, and I so far have finished a book, which is kind of a big deal for me. Sometimes I struggle with, actually finishing a project that I start, but I finished one book, and now I have the rest of this residency to finish the other book, which is a lot bigger, so I'm not sure I'll actually finish that one while I'm here. Actually I shouldn't say that. I won't put that bad juju on myself. But I wanted to tap in with another video to kind of keep the momentum rolling on still posting while I'm out here and away from my computer at home and, kind of unable to do much else with the channel. Especially after some of the things I touched on in that last video. But I wanted to tap in with you guys and talk about something that kind of has been on my mind a little bit this morning when I woke up. And that's the power of getting away. Oh, God, that sounds so fake attempt at trying to sound profound. But last year in June or July, my publisher took me and a bunch of other authors out to Ireland for a week-long writing retreat. And that was the first time I had ever left home specifically with the intention of working on writing. And I remember there was this point where there was this cliffside overlooking the beach. I was on the west coast of Ireland. I was away from the cities. It was mostly farmland, small towns, kind of like where I'm at right now, except this is definitely a more isolated place. And the first time that I had left for Ireland, I remember thinking how hard it is to get creative sometimes when you're stuck in the monotony of your day-to-day life wherever you're at home. Even if it's not a monotonous schedule, it's still the same people, places, things, all day, every day. Repeated. And I remember sitting on this, I walked down the beach, water to the left, and just cliff to the, oh my God, water to the right, cliff to the left of me. Sorry, I basically just woke up. I haven't even eaten anything yet. Took a shower, grabbed some water, and then stepped outside to record this. And I remember down the beach, there was a point where there's this valley part broken up into the cliff. And on the left side of that, there was this pathway up to where you could kind of sit and just watch both the valley, the slightly dried creek running through, down to the ocean and the beach. And I remember, for some reason, I don't even know why I'm going to say this part, but for some reason I just started to cry when I was sitting there. And I guess it was just a lot of pent up things going on in my life at the time. So I started to tear up. I had my laptop with me because I went out to that spot with the intention of writing. So then I put my hands on the keyboard and I wrote a couple pages straight, nonstop. Which is not usually my writing style. Usually my writing style is put down a paragraph, stare at the paragraph, go on my phone, put down a couple paragraphs, go on my phone, tell myself, okay, I've done enough today, get writer's block, whatever. Some days I'll be able to pump out a couple pages. Other days I literally won't have anything in my head at all to put down to paper. But when I sat there at that spot, I wrote. And it was just so much was just pouring out onto the page. It was a Google Doc, whatever. And when I came back to the place we were staying at, I went up to my publisher and I was like, hey, can I read this thing to you that I just wrote? And she sat down with me and I read it out to her. And she said something that she's repeated to me again recently. It's like, not over a year later, but almost a year later, she repeated the same thing to me before I came out to France. She said, I can tell a difference in your writing between when you're trying and when you're in your flow state. And I think what I'm noticing leaving the country a second time with the sole intention of working on writing, that I'm noticing more and more sometimes how hard it is to get into a flow state, being in the same room every day, being in the same place every day, being in the same schedule every day, the routine, training MMA at night, going to sleep. Like, my night routine Monday through Friday is gym, dinner, shower, sleep. Some days I change it up. I get crazy and I'll do gym, shower, dinner, sleep. So sometimes I get crazy. Sometimes I party. Sometimes I party and I'll change if I shower or dinner first. And yesterday, though, I went for this 2-hour hike through the woods. I don't know if you can even see. Oh, the fog is starting to clear up. I don't know if you can see that way. There's a church out there, and there's a road next to the church that's just all valley with this cute little creek running through it, and it leads all 30 minutes straight to in America we call them state parks. I don't know what they would call it here. Maybe state park as well. I mean, they don't have states in France. Do they have states in France? I don't think so. Not like the way America has states, but I know some countries they'll call a region a state or a state province or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, forest. And I just I kept going till I had no cell service. The top right of the phone said SOS, and it had the little satellite logo. I couldn't find anything, so I couldn't use my phone. I couldn't distract myself. It was just walk through nature. Yo, you want to come hop in on this?
What is it?
Huh?
What is it?
I'm just talking to the camera.
Are you gonna be doing it for a minute? I just wanna
Yeah. That was one of the guys in the residency. But I realized very quickly, getting out and being somewhere intentional with the purpose of your art and your creativity and whatever it is you got going on, there's this weird thing where it's almost like a lot of what's in just starts unlocking. And it's almost like back home there's just a gate that sometimes I have to force the gate open. And then when I come out to places like this, that gate sometimes just swings open on its own more often than it will back home. So if any of you are out here watching this, I don't know why you'd watch this. This is a pretty boring video. But if any of you are out here watching this and you have something in you want to create, whether it's writing, painting, YouTube, whatever it is you want to create, even if it's something you never want to show anyone, if it's just for you, even if you can't afford to travel or take a weekend away in a different town or something, or just go outside and break up your schedule randomly someday, whether it's this week, next week, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. Don't pressure yourself, but just do something that just completely shatters your daily schedule and figure out what that thing should be for you, because obviously, keep it in budget, be healthy, be smart. But it could be something as easy as get in your car and just drive for a couple hours away, get lunch at some random small town diner where there's only 2 other people there, and the only waitress is some old woman who calls you sweetie. Someplace you would never care to go, someplace you would never really think about. Or it could be like, a museum that's an hour away, or like something that is just different than what you're doing right now. Because for me, I spent so much time of my life in bed. When I got back from the military, like that was my life, was just sitting there kind of withering, bed rotting. And when you just break, you start chiseling away at all of the mold that's forming around you, you'll start to see that you can move and that you're not glued down in place. Even something as simple and stupid as, like I said, driving to some town you've never been to and just eating at some random diner, grabbing breakfast at some cafe, stopping at some random, little town and taking some pictures of their main street, like whatever, just anything that just throws a wrench in the monotony of your scheduling, to give yourself one little experience of breaking your norm. Because I think when we start to break our norms, it's almost like when a sculptor is first working with marble, right? They see that there's something inside the marble that they want to bring out, but there's all that rock around it. And all it takes is that first chip to start getting to work. And it's hard because you could be looking at that marble and you'd be like, the marble's fine. It's nice and smooth. The edges are clean. It's pretty. It's fine. It could be more beautiful. But the effort it takes to get there is sometimes very overwhelming for us. And that first hit, that first chisel, that first breaking contact will get you to start working. Even if you get stuck again, even if it's just one hammer strike, one little tiny chip, one tiny little tiny piece, tiny little tiny piece. Why did I say it like that? One tiny little piece breaks off, and then you don't touch it again for a week, a month, 2 months. Eventually, you're going to look back at it, and you're going to be like, I could do another. And smack it again one time. And then eventually, you're going to be like, I could do it again. Smack it again. And next thing you know, you're chiseling. Before you even know it, you're hammering away. And I think for a lot of us, at least, from my own experience of doing this, that is what starts to bring out a degree of creativity within us that can get easily held down and compounded and compromised when we just look at the marble of our life and be like, it's fine as it is. A lot of people don't necessarily always have the choice, circumstances get in the way. I've met people who never wanted to stay in the military, but they ended up staying in the military because they had a wife and kids. They had people to support, and they were afraid of going civilian sector or getting out and pursuing something else because their kid was already born. They had health benefits for their kid. They had money coming in for their kid. They had a house from, the government giving them a house for having a wife and a kid. And it's easier to look at that marble and be like, it's safe, it's clean, it's working. But for a lot of us out here, we're accepting that clean cut marble in lieu of the statue that could be carved out of that, because we're afraid, or because we're lazy, if we're being honest, or because we're depressed, or because we don't believe we deserve it, or whatever reasons you can think of why people do it. We do it. I do it. I almost didn't even come out here the morning I was supposed to fly out. But if I could use this platform to even change one of you who might watch this, because only 5 of you are going to watch this. But if one of you watching this hears what I just said and goes, you know what? Maybe he's onto something. Maybe the dumb guy who rants with no script is actually onto something. If any of you ever feel that or think that when you're watching this, then maybe I did something good for once. I won't keep this too long. I was very tired this morning, if you couldn't tell, so my brain is kind of scattered all over the place. But I think each time I do a video, I'll post up in a different spot so you guys can kind of get some of the beauty that's going around here. And at the end, well, maybe not at the end, I don't know, eventually I'm going to do one in the chateau's literally right here behind the camera. And I don't necessarily want to like give you guys what that looks like yet, because I kind of want to tease a little bit of like what the front of the chateau looks like. But I'm also going to do those interviews with people while I'm out here. I got to find time. Everybody's so busy. Like, there's so many painters here. There's 23 of us. And there's so many, most of them are painters. There's like a handful of us that are writers. There's a musician. There's a filmmaker. I mean, I'm a filmmaker too, but like I'm here for writing specifically. Even the filmmaker that's here isn't even doing filmmaking. They brought their camera stuff, but like they're not actually making a film. Which would be hard to do out here anyways, because like there's no actors. Well, I mean, some people have stage experience, so actually maybe we could make like a short film while we're out here. It's an ideal location for it. I don't know, now I'm just ranting, but I'm gonna do those artist interviews and see if talking to the other painters and artists that are here can inspire at least one of you out there to take that leap of maybe applying for a residency yourself, or even just going to an art supply store and picking something up. Maybe some of you who don't think you can do it can learn from their stories to be like, maybe I can do it. I mean, honestly, if I can do it, any of you can do it. If I can be out here in France for these weeks in one of the most, quiet, serene places probably in the country, at these rich people's chateau. If I can end up here, any of you can end up here. If I can write a book, any of you can write a book. Some of the painters that are out here are like so freaking talented, and even they would tell you like the fact that like if they were sitting here right now, they'd be like, the fact that I'm out here is absolutely crazy. I shouldn't be here, but I am. You'll never know what you'll get accepted to if you just put your foot out the door and start breaking that mold and sit with yourself and just apply. Like this residency, we had to apply with a couple examples of our work, and I wish I could go back to see like specifically what I submitted, but I did not expect to be accepted at all. They only accept this residency specific. They only accept 20% of residents every year. Out of everyone who applies worldwide, only 20% get accepted. So when I got accepted, I was like, this is a scam. This is definitely a scam. They're just trying to take my money. And then I'm here and it's not a scam, and I'm like, how in the world did I write something that they were like, yeah, he could come out here. He does some good work. I was like, that I guess I'm dealing with some like imposter syndrome. I don't know. But long rant short. Break your mold. Start chiseling away at that marble, because you have a more beautiful statue in there. You do, even if you don't think you deserve it. Even if you feel like, yeah, other people deserve it, I don't. Even if you don't think you can do it. Just hit once. Just smack that stone one time, chip one piece off, and that's it for the day. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just do it one time. Just once, and then go back to bed. Hit it one time and then don't touch it for a month. Just get yourself to do it just one time. And I think eventually you'll hit it a second time. And before you know it, a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. And then even quicker before you know it, your life is going to start to change in ways that you never would have imagined. And that's all I want for you guys. I want anybody watching this to have the confidence, even though I'm not even fully confident. So it's not necessarily confidence is not really the right word. I just want you guys to look at what the desires of your heart are and to try. Because the pain of regret is worse than the pain of failure. That's the quote we have on the back of our t-shirts from our gym for MMA, from our head coach. The pain of regret is worse than the pain of failure. But I love you guys. If anybody even watched this, I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.